Worry is resistance. Letting go is alignment with life's flow. Many times in life, we believe that worrying about something will somehow protect us, prepare us, or give us control over the outcome. In reality, worry does the opposite. It takes away energy, clouds judgment, and creates unnecessary suffering. When you are worried, you are fighting against the natural flow of life. You are resisting what is, instead of allowing things to unfold. Imagine a river that moves naturally in its course. If you swim against it, you exhaust yourself, and no matter how strong you are, the current will always carry you. But if you align with it, you move effortlessly, saving energy while reaching your destination with ease. This is the way life works. Worry is like swimming against the current, while letting go is trusting the current to carry you where you are meant to be. People often confuse letting go with being careless, but that is not the truth. Letting go is not abandoning responsibility, it is abandoning resistance. It means doing your best, then releasing the unnecessary attachment to outcomes. When you resist, you create tension within yourself, and this tension spreads into your actions, relationships, and decisions. But when you align with life's flow, there is calmness in your heart, and from that calmness, wiser actions arise. Instead of being paralyzed by fear of what may come, you begin to see clearly what can be done in the present moment. Worry keeps you stuck in the future, but letting go brings you back to now, where life actually happens. Think of a seed in the soil. It doesn't worry about how it will grow, when the rain will come, or whether the sun will rise tomorrow. It simply exists in alignment with nature. The rain falls, the sun shines, and the seed slowly transforms into a tree. Life has its own intelligence, its own rhythm, and when you stop resisting with endless thoughts and worries, you tap into that intelligence. You realize that life supports you more than you imagine. Worry convinces you that you are alone in the struggle, but letting go reveals that everything is connected, and the flow of existence carries you forward. Every moment you worry, you are living in a story that may never happen. Most of the time, the things you fear never come true. Yet you have already suffered in your mind, sometimes more than you would in reality. This is why letting go is powerful. It frees you from suffering twice, once in imagination and once in reality. By aligning with the flow of life, you conserve your energy, you open your mind, and you begin to notice opportunities that worry would have blinded you to. Life always moves forward with or without your resistance. The question is whether you will be carried peacefully with the flow or exhausted by swimming against it. The mind creates problems that do not exist in reality. Most of the time, the fears and anxieties that dominate our thoughts are simply illusions crafted by the mind. The human mind has the remarkable ability to imagine, to project into the future, and to recall the past. This ability is a gift when used with awareness, but without awareness it becomes a source of endless suffering. You may find yourself thinking about scenarios that have not happened, imagining failures that may never occur, or replaying past events that no longer exist. Each of these mental patterns builds a wall of worry, and the more you focus on them, the more real they seem, even though they have no actual substance in the present moment. If you look closely at most of your worries, you will notice that they are stories about what if. What if I lose my job? What if I fail this exam? What if people judge me? What if I never succeed? These questions are creations of the mind, and they trap you in fear. The reality, however, is very different. In the present moment, you are safe, you are breathing, and you are capable of acting. But the mind pulls you away from this truth and convinces you to live in imaginary futures. This is why worry feels so heavy. It is a burden you carry without reason, a weight that belongs to nothing real. When you recognize that these problems are self-created, you start to see the possibility of freedom. The power lies not in stopping thoughts completely, but in observing them for what they are, just thoughts, not truths. By bringing awareness to the mind, you take away the authority of its illusions. A fearful thought can arise, but you do not have to believe it. You can let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. The sky is vast, unshaken by the cloud, and in the same way, your awareness remains untouched by the temporary worries of the mind. Consider how often you have worried about something that never happened. You might have spent days or weeks carrying that stress, only to realize later that your fear was unnecessary. In those moments, the truth becomes clear. Most of life's problems are not in reality, but in perception. The more you dwell on imagined troubles, the more you lose your ability to respond effectively to real situations. Worry distracts you, weakens your focus, and drains your energy. But by understanding that these problems are mental constructs, you reclaim your strength. The mind is a powerful tool, but it must be guided. Just as fire can cook food or burn down a house, the mind can create solutions or endless suffering. The difference lies in how you use it. When you learn to step back and see the difference between imagination and reality, you break the cycle of unnecessary worry. Life becomes lighter, calmer, and more open, not because the world has changed, but because you stopped believing in problems that were never truly there. Presence and awareness dissolve the weight of uncertainty. Worry is born when the mind escapes the present and drifts into the unknown future or clings to the unchangeable past. In this wandering, it creates tension and fear, making life heavier than it actually is. But when you bring yourself back to presence, when you anchor your awareness in this very moment, the burden of uncertainty begins to dissolve. Right here, right now, there is always something solid to hold on to. The breath, the sensations of the body, the reality of what surrounds you. Awareness acts like a light in a dark room, revealing that most of the shadows you feared were never real. To live with presence is to recognize that the only place life truly happens is here. The past is a memory, the future is an idea. Yet worry tries to drag you into both, convincing you that you must control them. But in awareness you understand that neither can be controlled. You cannot change yesterday, and tomorrow has not arrived. What you can do is act wisely in the now, and that action is the seed that shapes your future. This understanding brings calmness, because uncertainty loses its power when you stop fighting it. Life is uncertain by nature, but presence transforms that uncertainty into openness, into possibility rather than threat. Think of the mind as a restless monkey jumping from one branch to another, never staying still. When the monkey is restless, the whole forest of your inner world feels chaotic. But when you gently guide the monkey to sit, even for a moment, everything becomes quiet. This is the power of awareness. It is not about forcing silence, but about observing without judgment. The moment you observe your own thoughts and feelings, you create distance from them. You no longer drown in the flood of uncertainty. Instead, you stand on the shore, watching the water flow by. Presence also sharpens clarity. When you are fully aware, you see things as they are, not as your fears paint them. Decisions become simpler, and problems that once felt overwhelming shrink to their real size. In awareness, you realize that most of what you worry about has no weight in the present, and even the challenges that do exist become manageable when faced one step at a time. Awareness teaches you that life is not meant to be lived all at once, but moment by moment, breath by breath. The practice of presence is like carrying a lantern through the path of life. Without it, uncertainty feels like darkness, and every step is frightening. With it, you see clearly enough to move forward with trust. You may not know the entire path ahead, but you always know the step beneath your feet, and that is enough. The weight of uncertainty dissolves not because the future becomes predictable, but because you stop needing to predict it. You learn to live with life as it unfolds, steady and unshaken, rooted in the awareness of the present moment. Trusting the natural rhythm of life opens new possibilities. Much of human suffering comes from the constant attempt to control, predict, and force outcomes. The mind believes that by planning every detail, by holding tightly to expectations, life will go exactly as imagined. But the truth is, life has its own rhythm, a flow that is beyond human calculation. When you fight against it, frustration grows because reality will never perfectly match the script in your head. Yet when you begin to trust this natural rhythm, when you loosen your grip and allow events to unfold, you discover that life often provides more than you could have planned for yourself. Trust is not passive. It does not mean sitting idle and waiting for miracles to happen. It means doing your part with sincerity, effort, and discipline, and then releasing the rest to the greater flow of life. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, you make sure the soil is healthy, and you give it sunlight. Beyond this, you cannot force the seed to sprout in your timing. If you dig it up every day to check its growth, you only damage it. Instead, you trust that nature knows its process. The same applies to your goals, relationships, and dreams. There is a time for effort and a time for patience, and trust allows you to honor both. When you trust life, you also open yourself to opportunities you would otherwise miss. Worry and resistance close the mind, narrowing your vision to only one possible path. But trust widens your awareness, showing you directions you never considered. Often, what you thought was a failure turns out to be a redirection, guiding you towards something far better. Without trust, you may see obstacles as punishment. With trust, you see them as stepping stones. This shift in perception creates a freedom that worry can never give. Think about the ocean tide. It comes in, it goes out, and nothing can stop its rhythm. If you try to resist it, you exhaust yourself. But if you learn to ride its waves, you move with ease. Life has the same tide, times of growth, times of rest, times of abundance, and times of scarcity. Trusting the rhythm means accepting that both highs and lows are part of the same flow. You cannot have one without the other, and both carry lessons that shape you. Many people miss the beauty of the present because they are too busy worrying about what is missing or what might go wrong. Trust changes this. It teaches you to relax into the now, to see that where you are is exactly where you need to be for your journey. This doesn't mean you stop striving, but it means your striving comes with peace rather than. Strength is not in control but in surrender and acceptance. From childhood, we are taught that strength means holding everything together, managing every detail, and bending life to our will. Society often praises the one who appears unshakable, who never lets go, who fights against every current. Yet this idea of strength is incomplete. True strength lies not in controlling every outcome, but in accepting what cannot be controlled, in surrendering the illusion of total power and finding peace within what is. To surrender is not to give up, but to recognize that clinging only creates suffering, while acceptance creates freedom. When you try to control everything, you live in constant tension. Your body tightens, your breath shortens, and your mind spins endlessly, fearing the collapse of your carefully constructed plans. In this state, you are not strong, you are fragile, because your peace depends on everything going your way. Real strength comes when you can remain steady even when things don't go according to plan. Acceptance is like a tree rooted deeply in the earth. It sways with the wind, but does not break. Control tries to resist the wind, and in resisting, it snaps. Surrender, however, bends, flows, and survives. Consider the storms of life loss, failure, disappointment, change. These are inevitable experiences that no amount of control can prevent. If you spend your energy fighting them, you only multiply your pain. But when you accept them, when you allow life to be what it is without demanding that it fit your expectations, you discover an inner strength far greater than control. You learn that life may bring storms, but it also brings calm, and both are part of the same cycle. By accepting both, you align yourself with reality instead of exhausting yourself in battle against it. Surrender does not mean weakness, it requires courage. It takes courage to admit that you cannot command the future, that you cannot rewrite the past, that some things are beyond your reach. This humility is strength because it frees you from the endless burden of trying to dominate life. It gives you the energy to focus on what you can influence, your actions, your choices, your state of mind, rather than wasting it on what you cannot. In surrender, you reclaim your power because you are no longer a prisoner of control. Acceptance also deepens compassion. When you stop demanding perfection from yourself and from life, you become gentler with others. You realize that everyone is navigating uncertainty and everyone is carrying invisible battles. Instead of forcing life to conform to your will, you begin to flow with it, to move in harmony with its rhythm. This harmony creates resilience. While control collapses under pressure, surrender adapts. Acceptance bends with reality and rises again. And in this rising, you discover the quiet strength that comes not from dominating life, but from walking with it. "Stop worrying, that's when life starts working" is not just a phrase, it is a way of seeing life with new eyes. Worry is like carrying a bag of stones on your back. Each thought of fear, each doubt, each what if, adds more weight until the journey feels unbearable. Yet, most of those stones are not real. They are imagined burdens, things that may never happen. The moment you set the bag down, you discover that walking becomes easier, lighter, and more joyful. Life begins to move smoothly not when you struggle against it, but when you learn to release unnecessary weight. Worry is an illusion of control. The mind convinces you that by thinking endlessly about a problem, you are somehow solving it. But worry does not solve, it only drains. It ties your energy to the future or the past, leaving you powerless in the present moment where action truly happens. When you stop worrying, you give yourself permission to fully enter the now. And in the now, solutions are clearer, energy is stronger, and opportunities appear. This is why life seems to start working, because you finally stop blocking its natural rhythm with your own resistance. Stopping worry does not mean you ignore responsibilities or live without care. It means you take wise action without being paralyzed by fear of the unknown. It means understanding the difference between what is in your control and what is not. You do your best with what you have, and then you trust the rest to unfold. This trust is not weakness, but strength. It is the recognition that life has its own intelligence, far greater than the anxious mind. When you align with this rhythm, you notice how life brings unexpected help, surprising opportunities, and lessons in the most natural way. The beauty of stopping worry is the freedom it brings. You reclaim your inner peace, your clarity, and your joy. You begin to see life not as a series of threats, but as a series of chances to grow. Every moment that was once heavy with fear becomes lighter with possibility. Life starts working not because it has suddenly changed, but because you have changed the way you meet it. By letting go of worry, you create space for courage, trust, and wisdom to guide you. And in that space, life reveals its flow, steady, supportive, and always moving forward. Would you like me to also craft a * short poetic version * of this description in Shi Hing Yi's calm and reflective style, so you can use it as an impactful opening for your speech?